flying tables and visions of a, materialized body or whatever. But all of us are getting them all the time. And you know what this is like. Sometimes you get it like you turn on the radio and a certain song is on, or, somebody gives you the exact perfect book that you need to read at a particular time, or you know who's calling on the phone, little simple things like that. We're all connected via that psychic conduit. So all of us are getting these messages. It's not just something that special people do, and it's not a gift. It's,
I'm talking like specific, like I'll give you an example. Like I went on an investigation once, and we were the tenants. It was a very small apartment, and they had been complaining of a lot of activity they couldn't explain. So they called Stan to try to help. And so while we were there, one of the things that they had talked about was that they'll be sitting on the couch, and like I said, it's like a really small 2-bedroom apartment. And, so they're sitting in the living room watching TV, and pennies or change will land out of thin air, like on the carpet in front of them when there's only 2 of them in the apartment. So when we were in investigation, we sat in a circle and just, we're talking out loud to Spirit. And sure enough, these pennies were just being thrown in from behind us into the middle of our circle. And everybody basically that was there was accounted for. So things like that. What would you say about that?
Physical manifestations.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is great. And it's funny that you use the example of pennies, because pennies from heaven, so to speak, are the most common thing that people get. I hear this all the time. My mother got pennies after her husband died. People get pennies all the time. It's so interesting. And my mother's very psychic, too, and she gets physical objects moving around her house and stuff like that all the time. Here's the answer to that. And this is pretty advanced, so get your mind ready to wrap around this. All matter, all physical matter, your body, your house, this planet, everything, is created from thought form. So if the thought of the beings emanating from the stream is powerful enough to create a solar system and bodies to live in, it can certainly create pennies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? So those physical manifestations are totally real, because I was really stumped. My mother had an amazing experience one day. She wears a lot of jewelry, and she opened her little jewelry drawer one morning to get dressed, and she found a package of hearing aid batteries in this drawer. Now, she opens this drawer at least twice a day, in the morning when she gets dressed and at night when she takes her earrings off, right, and puts them in there. And all of a sudden, here's this package of hearing aid batteries, totally off the wall. She lives alone. There's nobody else in her house. How the heck did those get there? So we worked on this for a while, and I understood that because she's developing a lot of her psychic abilities right now and communicating with her husband who has died and my son, it's a message saying, yes, you are hearing us. Yes, your hearing is valid. Do not invalidate it. Trust it. So how did the hearing aid batteries get there? The same way that the solar system got here, the same way that your body got here.
That makes a lot of sense, especially after I had a crazy experience with my aunt, the one I just told you about. I won't tell you right now on the show, but I couldn't wrap my head around how she did what she did, because I know it was her that did it. It's amazing, and at the same time, like a lot of movies, how you're saying, we can create the universe with our mind. Of course, we can create, a hearing aid battery or, packs of cigarettes or pennies. There's a lot of movies that really, I think, these people who are creating the movies must be getting images or help from spirit guides to give us messages and help us understand. And it just depends on where you are, I think, too, how you're going to be able to wrap your head around the message. Like my mom, it's really difficult because she thinks that if spirits communicating with me, they're the bad guys, the demonic, and I don't know how to. I wish I knew if there's a way to help her understand the difference, but I'm sure there are people out there that are like that and can't just wrap their head around it.
Well, and you know what? This is the answer to that. You can't. You can't help anybody understand anything. You know, in my workshops, somebody inevitably asks me this question, wow, this is so cool. This is such a great way of looking at stuff. How can I show other people how to look at it this way too? And I laugh and I say, you can't.
Yeah.
Your mother is where she is. We're all on a different rung on the spiritual growth ladder, and you can only be an example to her. You can only share information with her. But if you are trying to convince her to see it differently, then you're no different than an evangelical Christian saying that the Bible is the inerrant Word of God. So
right.
This is one of the hard lessons that we have to learn as spiritual seekers is that we're not supposed to, we're not allowed to. It is impossible to convince anybody of anything. Have you ever had a relationship with somebody that you just really wanted them to be different? What happened? How did that work for you?
Yeah, really. It didn't work out.
Of course it didn't.
Of course not. And you're right. You know, I believe that, and I go by that free will. You know, I'm very big, and that's probably what comes out of my mouth constantly, and that we all have free will. Like I said, I don't think it stops at the soul level either, but talk about judgment. I mean, we're constantly bombarded by judgment on a physical level every single day. You know, even TV. You know, I mean, you don't even have to have a personal relationship with judgment. It's constant. So, trying to really removing yourself from that, you know, that energy space, or just recognizing it and rethinking the way you talk. I mean, it took me a long time to really understand how my words, my intention, how, you know, my words that will manifest, putting intention into your words and really trying to like rethink, revoice how each thing that comes out of your mouth, because, you know, I've learned so much, and a lot of it revolves around free will, because we can do pretty much what we want to do. I think that was one of the things in school, you know, Earth is a schoolhouse, and we came down here to learn, so we're learning every minute, every second, every day.
Judgment is the thing that creates separation. Let's look again at that example of a mirror. If you press your nose up against a mirror, you cannot see yourself, right? So in order to see yourself, you have to back away a little bit, and therein you have separation. You're no longer one with your image of yourself. I mean, this is a pretty out there concept, but in the beginning of human existence, we were one with this stream of thought that I call God. And for various reasons, we wanted to know ourselves, and in order to do that, we had to separate, just like you pull your face away from the mirror. Well, the first thing that happens when you separate is you start to have judgments about everything that is not you. Because prior to that, everything was you. It was only one, right? Once you go from oneness to two-ness, there's you and everything else. So the minute you're separated from everything else, there's judgments. Well, that thing is bad, and that thing is wrong, and that thing is ugly, and you know, and that is a mechanism of the ego that keeps us separate from everything else and keeps us believing in our separateness. Once you start realizing that there is no judgment anywhere in the universe, including with yourself, you're no longer separate. So, for example, I will talk often in my workshops about, you know, people always ask me, well, what about bad guys? What about Hitler? You know, what about Saddam Hussein, whatever? And I say, no judgment. Hitler is no different than you. He's a piece of the stream, too. He fulfilled an important purpose for the growth of humanity. This was by agreement with everybody involved, and he is where he is on the evolutionary ladder. In fact, I think, spiritually speaking, that someone like Hitler volunteers to take on a role like that to further the human family. Somebody had to do that in order